So, hello everyone. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. I hope you've had a good Easter if you celebrate Easter, and that you've had a chilled Monday afternoon. So I'm looking forward to chatting to you about rules of engagement. And I think a lot of people forget when they're complaining about issues and when they're in a situation, and then I say, well, what are the rules? And then they say, no, but like there are no rules. And so this is what I'm wanting to look at today of, have you established rules for lockdown? Do you have rules in your home? Do you have rules with your children, your partner, your pets? Yes, I know it's not always possible to have rules with pets, but we can try. So let's look at things. Just going to share my screen here. Share screen. Okay, so when we look at some rules of engagement, some of the things are, Letitia's coming back in again. Okay, some of the rules of engagement are things like having meals. Do you have meals together since we've been in lockdown? Does somebody take turns to make them? Do you meet in the passage? How does that work? Then also cleaning, cooking, washing dishes. Do you take turns to cook? Is the person who always cooked before lockdown still cooking? All different rules about popping in for chats into each other's offices, assuming you've got separate space. A big thing, for instance, I look at my home and I see that we have sort of couldn't be furthest away from each other if we tried. And that's basically so we don't kill each other. The idea of sitting at the same dining room table and sharing with anybody, sure, I think you'd have to be a saint to handle that one. I know, for instance, like I was thinking, gee, we don't have enough tables in our lounge now because when we're all working there for a little bit or we're doing things. And then part of me was thinking, oh, you can't go and get, just, you know, get a side table from the lounge. And then I'm thinking like, oh no, but who's going to come visit? No one. So I know like a friend of mine has rearranged his lounge into a gym because clearly no one's coming to visit. So have you actually maximized your home to suit you for what you're doing? Have you cleared out areas? Have you changed areas? Yeah, I know a lot of people who know me, for instance, we have got noise rules, not that it always works, because my husband loves working with his huge, big racket. And I just sent him a message before this started because he's watching TV to say, hey, please turn down the noise because it's not suitable for my talk. So let's hear from you as to, have you put rules in? Haven't you put rules in? How's it going? If you don't mind sharing. Okay, who's first up? Would anybody like to be first?
I'll go first.
Who's going first?
I won't be a shy one. You know what? It's actually been very, very good because we've now got his daughter, Taryn. So she's like my little protege. She's been doing all my videos for me. And it's been an absolute pleasure having.
Okay, your sound's breaking up a bit, Debbie. Nope.
In the it's from the very, you know, kind of just better. Can you hear me now?
No. Maybe it'd be better if you type fast in the chat box, and then I'll read it so people can hear it on video.
Or switch off video. Try just switching off your video.
Yeah, maybe if you switch off your video, let's see.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, so, you know, we all sort of sat down and decided that we were all going to take turns in cooking. So, you know, Taryn's been cooking. It's also been really, really good because Keith has also been cooking and he's thoroughly enjoyed it. Initially, it was for Taryn and Keith to have some time together because it's something that they used to do when she was younger and more in the house. So they're doing that now and really enjoying it. And, you know, they're finding new things to do together. And, you know, for Keith, it's something completely different. So that's been good. you know, when we've had our little ruptions and things, it's been more because of a space thing. You know, you tend to think, oh, well, you're accommodating yourself. You have to think a little bit longer and think, well, actually, does that fit into everybody else? So we've kind of got through those glitches. The garage has now become, again, a garage. Keith's put shelves up. He's sorted his toolboxes and done all his things so he can kind of find things, because I know it's a big frustration for him. He thinks I move things a lot. Which I probably do. But that's my OCD side. And, you know, that sort of like applied a little bit of pressure, but it's just realising, you know, that it's not just you in the house. You know, there's 3 of us now. So we all kind of need our own space. And, you know, I'm finding, because my sort of work line is more artistic and things, I can kind of go and sit in the sunroom and do my stuff, which I seem to be doing Monday to Friday, because, you know, they're both on the computer. So I've realised that puts extra pressure on if I'm on the computer. So I think this is the first time in probably 2 or 3 weeks, apart from the BNI meetings, where I've said, okay, listen, guys, I actually need an internet connection now. Do you know what I mean? So it's making us be a little bit more vocal. And it's helping us to learn to sort of communicate and talk a little bit more and be a little bit more considerate of the other person.
So thanks for that, Debbie. So that's an important one, is that if you don't have a big enough or a fast enough internet connection, it's also about negotiating who's getting it. So that's a great one. And also sitting down and saying, how are things going to work? It's always optimal not to talk about how things are going to work when things aren't working. Because when you're in the middle of an almighty fight, screaming at each other, now's not the time to, how are we going to do this? Okay, when everyone's calmed down, then could we talk about? That's where it's better. So how's it working for the rest of you? Hayley, are there 4 people in your home?
I've got 2 teenagers, yes. I've got one in grade 11, and then I've got, well, she's almost not a teenager anymore, one first year varsity. And they both, she's at res, and he's normally boarding Monday to Friday. So we've gone to getting used to just being the 2 of us, to now having both of them back at home. Similarly with them, particularly with my daughter, she's a huge extrovert. So she's suffering quite a lot. And that's why I send her to the shops, so that she can get out and do her thing. But yeah, I think right from the beginning, I'm a reasonably disciplined person. I've worked from home before. I've studied part-time and all of that. So I think I'm disciplined, and I try to instill that into all 3 other people immediately when we started, because I knew this was going to have to happen right from the beginning. So we had what I probably call soft rules put in place with the kids. Particularly, they were really still on holiday, and I appreciated that, and I appreciated the fact that they need to have a break and that as well. So soft rules were, yes, you can sleep until late, but just get into a little bit of a habit of just sitting down, doing something in the morning, and mix up your day a little bit, you know, so that you're kept busy and occupied and your brain is stimulated. Last week, the rules got a little bit harder, especially for my son. Still, Jordan, my daughter, she's still on recess, so to speak. But son, I needed to start getting fire lit under his backside last week. And for a boarder, I still think that he's reasonably not focused on times, and strange, because I mean, at boarding, 8 o'clock you've got to be there, 9 o'clock you've got to be there, 10 o'clock, and it showed me, maybe it's because he's at home, I think, and I think that's maybe the biggest problem. But this coming week, the rules are going to be implemented strictly, because now we've got a schedule. We know it's another 3 weeks. So yeah, there are rules. Husband, he also works from home. He sits in the study. I sit at the dining room table. And then my son sits at the dining room table with me, so that I can keep an eye on him. And then, yeah. and then daughter's going to be sitting in her room, but I don't think that's a good idea. We'll find another space for her, and I'm thinking the other lounge, the more formal lounge, just so that she gets out of her room. You know, I think it's a mind shift. If you need to do this is my opinion. I could be wrong, and you know, tell me if I'm wrong. But if you're in a space where you work, that's where you work. if you're in a space where you sleep, that's where you sleep and chill, you know. And but yeah, there are rules. Cooking wise, I still do all of that. I do most of the cleaning, although I've got to ask everyone to pitch in here, there, and everywhere. So this coming week, I'm going to get a little bit more strict with certain rules and put a roster in place. They just don't know it yet. So yeah, that's me.
So what's always good about that is when you've allowed certain things, it's always better, instead of just saying you turn into the witch tomorrow morning, it's about calling a family meeting and saying, right, up until now, we've worked a certain way. Now here's the line in the sand. On the other side of the line, things are changing. How are we changing it? Get everyone to buy into it so that it then works. And you'll find your son probably does feel different at home, because home's where he comes to relax and chill, and there are no rules and there's no school and there's no whatever. And,
exactly.
Yes. So Letitia in the chat said we work well together. We work in our own space. We also make a list of things we need to do, not just work, but outside and of course other housework. And if the one is busy doing one thing, then the other one does something else. Okay. All right, so that's great. So it is really that we have been sitting down, having conversations, and often we don't know how it works. Because when you think of it, you may have only seen everybody in the house over a weekend or over a little bit of a holiday. And then you all think, oh, well, we'll live with it, because come a few hours time, everyone goes to work or everyone goes to wherever they're going. And the pressure doesn't build up. Now, the pressure is building up, building up, building up. When you think of it, we've done 2 weeks. We've got 3 to go. And I can see that the pressure is going to explode in lots of homes because there's no release. There's no release valve. Release valve not working at the moment. Yes, well, it's certainly not working in the moment, in that you can't just escape. So a lot of people would get to a certain level and escape because they went out of the home. Yeah. And even people who didn't like work, you would sit at work for a while, the pressure would increase, and then just when you're about to pop somebody off at the water cooler, you go home. Okay. So now we are enclosed in one space. We are very blessed in that some of our spaces are very big and they don't have that many people in it, but it is certainly the difference between really killing each other and not. So who else would like to explain how their home works? Mandy.
Okay, so for us it feels a bit like life has been on pause for the past 2 weeks, like we're in a bubble. Luckily my husband and I, we're quite used to being on our own because we choose to live that way. So we have our things that we do here, so we don't really get in each other's way because we both have our still work and do stuff for the business, and he keeps himself busy, so we don't really get in each other's way. Yeah, I think it's going to change from now on because, you know, he also needed a break. It was really hectic before the lockdown, so he just needed to take that holiday time as well and just relax and rest a bit. But I think from now, for the rest of the lockdown, he'll probably also start feeling that he needs to do something and get more engaged again and maybe work a little bit with me. So yeah, but otherwise it's actually been quite normal. We're fortunate that we are on a very big property, so we have lots of space to still move outside. We're very, very blessed, and we have the whole family here. All my in-laws live on the plot as well. So we're actually enjoying it because it's family time. We see each other a lot more than we used to. So now we fry together still, and we actually, yeah, we spend more time. So, and my niece and nephew, they're also here on the plot with me. So I've been jumping on the trampoline with them and having fun with them. It's actually nice for me to get that time to bond with them that I never had before. So it's actually brought us closer as a family, which is really nice. So, yeah.
So that's interesting to hear. So it will be interesting, Monday, is once we go back or forward to a different normal, it's interesting to see what we will keep then from this time of lockdown.
Exactly.
Or are we going to go rush back into our lives where, oh no, sorry, Auntie Mandy doesn't have any time to jump on the trampoline now. Yes. And
Well,
it's
yeah.
making a conscious choice to keep the good things.
Yes, just on that note, this time for me personally has been one of introspection, where I actually, especially this weekend, I just went back to basics and tried to figure out why I started my own business in the first place. And working myself to death until 10 o'clock each evening wasn't really the plan, you know, but sometimes you need that distance to see that you're kind of going off the path that you wanted to take. So on that note as well, you know, if you work so hard all the time, you lose that connection with your family and with your husband and everything. So this is also a big part of the lockdown that I was grateful for, because now I've kind of set new rules for myself on how I want to conduct myself in the future, and still keep the people that are important to me within my schedule, and not just as a, if I have time, then I'll do that. So, yeah.
Thanks for that, Mandy. So Letitia's also saying maybe we'll get a feeling of empty nest syndrome after the lockdown. And that depends obviously on whether you're with a lot of people and also with precious people, because what's happening is that as much as we fought to leave the normal we were in, we're adapting pretty well to the new normal that we are in. And then, you know, what I've said as well is like, it's about us all on that first day that we're allowed out. We're all going to rush off to offices that we may not even have. We're going to find an office to visit. But, you know, on day 2, 3, 7, 10, we're going to say, oh, I don't want to sit in traffic anymore. I don't want to go and sit with people in an office. And before it would be, oh, if only I could work at home. And now we know what it's like to work at home. We've done it. Got the t-shirt. Precedent set. And so how much will we go into and adopt what we haven't got now? Yeah. So how's your home been working, Gina?
So Trace is working like normal. So we just carrying on like normal. We got a bit of a routine in the sense of Trace has got her chores, I've got my chores. We take turns in cooking, but there's nothing like cast in stone. So if I feel like cooking tonight, then I'll cook. Or if Trace says what we're doing for dinner and then she decides to cook. So we don't really have any firm rules, except for like obviously in the week when it's Monday to Friday and not Easter, then Trace is in her office from 8, then she's already starting working. So as long as the dishes from the night before are either done the night before or before she starts working, that's part of her chores. And then I normally do a bit of the house cleaning and stuff in between my Zoom calls or my time that I sit doing some strategies and stuff. So we've just been working well together. It's like an unsaid kind of routine. I do suspect though that it is going to change now that it is a bit extended, because already, so I was a little bit sick with some flu just before we went into lockdown. So that first week of lockdown, I didn't have a whole lot of energy, but I'm now feeling like I need to be doing a bit of exercise. So I already got the spin bike out this morning. It's on the patio. It's been dusted off and set up and ready. And last week, Thursday, I snuck out for my first drive to my practice just to go and check that everything was okay there. And I took my gym ball and my dumbbells. So I've got those here too. And yeah, we want to try and incorporate a little bit of exercise into the day, because like for me, I feel like I'm sitting way too much. I'm not used to sitting I'm normally on my feet for pretty much the whole day. So this is something that I feel that will change for us. But other than that, yeah, we're quite mindful with each other when it comes to the noise levels. The only time I did have to go and stop Trace wasn't work stuff. She was in her workshop, busy planing with the planer on a Sunday, and it was after 3 o'clock. And I was like, babes, you can't be doing that. I'm sure people are going to be upset. It's a Sunday. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, I think we're fortunate in the way that I'm used to functioning here at home when she's working from home.
So that's great, Gina. So do you think that you'll have a special area in your home that will be like for gym things where your dumbbells will go live?
Probably, yeah, which if I pan around, this is the dining room, there's the ball.
Yes.
This is also where I sit and work. So
Okay.
it's probably going to be in here because where I'm facing is the patio with a sliding door. So it'll probably be in this area because the bike's there, and it's all close by. Yeah. Might even take the dumbbells and the gym ball outside to have some outside time.
Some vitamin D. Yes.
Yeah.
So I know my family have walked around our garden. My daughter managed to walk around our garden silently. My husband, I think, gave the neighbors quite a big skrik when he came around the corner, dung, 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 at 4:30 in the morning. And they switched on lights and thinking, oh my heck, what's going on here? But yes, then realized it was the crazy neighbor. If it's not his music, it's his stomping around the garden doing his kilometers. Yeah. And then Leanne, any insight from you?
Well, luckily before lockdown and before all of this started, I had already set up my office that in what used to be my son's room, because he had decided that he still wanted to sleep with mommy. So I just made use of the extra space. And then with regards to chores and all of that type of stuff, with him being 4, it's quite fun to try and get him to actually do some chores. So the rules are he has to put away his toys. So every day, if I had to send you a photograph of what my lounge looked like, it literally looks like every single toy has exploded on my carpet. But he has certain times that he has to go and put the toys away. And then, sorry, I can't seem to hear it. And then with regards to cooking and that, obviously with being a single mom, I do all the cooking and the cleaning, but in the last couple of days, I've had him in the kitchen helping to do baking and do cleaning and that type of stuff, and he's wanted to start doing cooking, so he's been helping out in the kitchen quite a lot. And then with regards to exercise, we try to do yoga every morning. I've been missing walking, so we've been working and living in a complex. We're not supposed to be out of our gardens so unless we're taking rubbish to the rubbish bins. So we've been walking to the rubbish bins a lot just to get some exercise because I'm going crazy stuck in a garden. So yeah, but that's pretty much us.
Okay, so thanks for that, Leanne. Yeah, I was seeing that the walking to put your garbage out is a big thing. You can even get dressed up for it. Yeah. So I realized that some people do live in complexes. They do live in very small homes with lots of people. And it is not as easy. You know, sometimes would say, when we look at it from a privileged perspective, it's not as easy for other people. Yeah. Okay, so it seems like that there are unwritten rules. Sometimes the way things have worked. Sometimes it is about sitting down and having an actual discussion. Okay, what are we going to do about this? What are we going to do about that? So like my home, for instance, we work very independently, but we did have a conversation saying, okay, guys, are we going to have breakfast, lunch, or tea together? And we collectively as a family decided, no, we're not. Okay. So when it comes to lunchtime, it's not like one person in our family gets up and makes lunch for everyone else. We do our own times, our own whatever you want to eat, whatever time you want to eat it. And when you pop down to the kitchen, you don't say, in my home, you don't say, hey, making coffee, who wants? Okay. Yes, and that works for me, but it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. So what I'm wanting to encourage you is to make sure that you have the difficult conversations, you have the discussions, how could we do this better, that you look at your home and see, we've got another 3 weeks. That's another 21 days. We actually have the 21 days that we first started off with. So another 21 days, how can your home change? What can move? What could you change something into something else? Because the visitors aren't going to pop in. We don't have to have the spare bed there. We can change it into, exactly, Leanne, as you've said, you've changed your son's room into an office. It'll be interesting to see if it changes back into a bedroom at any point. She says no. Yes, she's not giving up her office now. Sorry for you. Yeah. So a big thing also is like some people might feel like they're on that holiday weekend, and it may not be, I'm sure not in any of you, but I imagine that hygiene is a problem in some homes where somebody decides, oh, I think we haven't done the shaving and we haven't done the, but you know, for instance, where, oh, we don't need to bath every day, or we don't need to shower every day, or we don't need to. That's also about having the conversations, because that must make life very unpleasant. Yes, Mandy is laughing. Okay. I know, for instance, that some guys don't shave over weekends. And so for these whole 3 weeks, 99 weeks, whatever in lockdown, do we now have Father Christmases? Yeah. So what is it? What else? Okay. Gina's laughing too. Okay. What else is there that needs to be spoken about or can be a war zone area? Mandy?
I think especially in the next few weeks, it's also going to be about the future, because it's so uncertain at the moment. So it's not to say that if a person had a job, they're going to go back to their job. Or if you have a business, that your business is going to be the same afterward. So I think conversation will go from, okay, how do we get through the initial lockdown to how will our lives look like afterward? And maybe it's kind of a reset as well, you know, to refocus and say, okay, maybe what we've done so far wasn't actually productive, so maybe we should change that. So I think a lot of focus, for us it will be as well, you know, what we're gonna do in the future. Because, for example, we realize that we really want to travel. Maybe it's the effect of the lockdown, but it helps you also to shift your common goals, I think, as a family and as a couple maybe, and just look at the future differently.
So you imagine more serious conversations, Mandy. So instead of just sitting down and thinking, ah, we're just waiting it out, now realizing that you've got to have those tough conversations about, will the job be there? What will it look like? How can we change? Have the strategic conversations. What else could we do? Time to update CVs, look for different opportunities. Use this time where you can go and do different marketing, different way approach, all those kind of things. Yes. All right, so reading the chat room here. Yanis and myself started to sleep on the other beds in our guest bedrooms to experience it firsthand. So it's about when you have like a guest house to actually go live in all the bedrooms to see what it's like. So thanks for that, Letitia. Did I see a hand up here? Haley, did you want to talk?
I didn't put my hand up, but yes. So I said something about my daughter being an extrovert. I think different personality types is also quite a big, challenge. And I think it's a matter of recognizing that. I think I've recognized it with Jordan particularly, and that's why I give her the chore of going out, because Michael, my husband, my son Storm and myself, we're quite happy with our own company. We're happy to be on our own. We're happy to keep ourselves occupied, whereas she's on the huge scale of being on the 10 of being an extrovert, and you know, and even if in any family you're not all the same. So I think that's also a challenge, you know, just to recognize how everyone is coping with it or not, and then going forward. With my daughter, funny enough that I talk about her a lot now, but she's also the varsity thing. They've now officially said that for the rest of the semester or term, they are online. So she's not going back to res at all. They're even writing exams online, you know. So it's a matter of this week, she's already said to me this week she needs to pull up the socks, tighten the belt, and, you know, and that's going to be different for her because she's now found that independence, and now she's here again, and it's back to mom and dad's house rules, you know, no, don't go out late at night, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. So, but we also need to just recognize that, and as parents, you know, so that's a challenge for us at the moment.
So it is And also what happens is because your children weren't living with each other even, it's also now difficult for them to come back to fight every day, kill each other as brother and sister, and also be in a smaller space, not independent, one extrovert, one not. Yeah. So, I mean, I live where my daughter is an introvert, but she's been quite happy with her life up to a point, and then saying, okay, where are her friends now? Where, you know, and that the weeks become a bit too much now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she's dying to go and see friends, and I know she's old enough to understand what it's all about. But the overriding, I want to see my friends. It's just, you know, and she wants to make all sorts of plans to do that. Yes. And it's a matter of us saying, you cannot, you can't, you will not. You know, yeah, difficult.
So Nolene says that her children have decided to plan an outing to donate blood. It's about vampires, that they're going out as vampires to donate blood, and it helps others, but it's also a way of going out. Yeah. Jeans?
So I wanted to ask Hayley, does your daughter chat to her friends on Zoom or WhatsApp video or something like that?
So they have created what they call a house party or something like that, I think, where you can put up to 6 people on a, so her whole varsity group are part of this house party. But I don't know why, but she seems to only be doing that after 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And then she's up until 1, 2 in the morning. And then she says that the others are all busy with all sorts of other things during the day. And I said to her, yeah, but you know, what can you be busy with? You don't need to sit in your room all day. You know, I actually try to encourage her to sit in and listen to this presentation as well this afternoon. But no, we're in our room, we're looking at movies, you know, and, you know, you can only do so much before you're having to put a freaking thing on her wrist to drag her to do something, you know. So it's a concern, but I think maybe it's just I need to just find a way of coaxing her out of that mindset, you know. I think that's what it is.
Maybe she just needs to find a routine. I mean, like for me, my job is seeing people and touching them literally every single day. So for me, this has been, I thought I would be a lot worse actually, but I've been coping pretty well. But I think what has helped me is that I do Zoom calls with a group of people. I do my BNI meetings, and then I've chosen one friend or 2 friends between Trace and I a day that we do a WhatsApp or a Zoom call with, and we just catch up where we actually see them. And I find that's also helping. Obviously my family live far away, so I do the same with my brother and my mom. So I think maybe if she just sets a specific time with a friend a day, because then it's easier to work 2 people's routines than it is a group of people, and try that at first. Last week, my friends, we had a dance off. And that was pretty cool. I didn't dance, I judged. But that was also nice because we usually see each other once a month, and we're missing each other. And like a lot of my friends, I can see they like chomping at the bits. And for me, it's not been that bad, maybe because I've had these kind of interactions with people. So I think if she maybe sets a time aside for a friend a day, or more than one, but like it's a lot easier than trying to get a whole group together. So maybe try suggest that to her.
I'll do. I just find it funny. I said to her last night, we were actually talking, and I also started to ask the questions in that last night with her. And she said to me, she looks at all these old college movies and all of that, just so that she sees people and just so that she can associate and relate to the actual varsity life that she's missing so much as well. So
a big thing, Hayley, is to remember that she must do lockdown her way.
Yeah.
And that you must do lockdown your way, and don't try and impose your way on her way, as long as ultimately that whatever her way is positive. But it must be positive for her, and yes, ultimately as a group. So as long as it impacts the group positively, and that we don't end up suicidal or in depression or in a very sad state, But don't feel that, oh, you know what I did this morning, that your, oh, you know what I did, must apply to everybody else.
Yeah. Agreed.
So I've also seen with my daughter where often like her friends are all over the world, and where she, like often, you know, when you've got the Israel friend, Australia, Texas, Potchefstroom, spread far and wide, Australia, and they have, because they're all in lockdown, they've now had an opportunity to come together and play funny games on that house party thingy, whatever. And then, like, you know, I say, oh, you know, who are you talking to? And you find like she's chatting to people in 3 or 4 different time zones, and they're playing games. Yeah. So it was good to see that. Okay. So, somebody's saying finding social media a bit much, actually. So rather choosing to call specific friends to catch up. I've really enjoyed doing it. Will be my new way of communicating after all this. Yes, very much about, and also it's making a definite decision and living it out as saying, oh, we must get together, but you know, I've been so busy. Okay, so I normally meet a friend of mine every month and we have lunch. And this time he said, okay, fine, send the Zoom link. We're having our meeting online. And he said he doesn't know if it'll take the same amount of time. I said, well, we've got no waiter to bring us coffee now, but we'll try, we'll see. Okay. And yeah, the social media marketing, so it's online a lot, but took a few days this weekend off. I also set myself a little time at night to see Facebook and then turn it off. I only check WhatsApp a couple of times a day. Yeah, a big thing, it is, what I found is that when we were following how many people were sick, how many people were recovering, how many people, whatever, and then like if you said to me on a given day, okay, what's the number now? I don't know, whereas I used to know. And yeah, every 2 days or 3 days I check, oh, what's the numbers now? But it's not about keeping the running tally of now we got +1. Yeah, because I found that wasn't helping me. Yeah. Okay, so the whole point of today is to realize that it's not so much rules, it's about how are you going to work together? How are you going to engage? What are you going to do? And when things aren't working, please, not while it's not working, have a little sit down, have a family meeting, have a little get together to say, okay, guys, this isn't really being optimal. How can we change it? What can we do? How can we make it better? When you have children, what I always say to all my parents, guys, if we don't set the rules and we don't set the boundaries, children aren't going to come along and help us out with them. Okay? So if you don't have, right, who's doing Tuesday's dishes, who's doing Thursday's dishes, who's doing whatever, whatever, a child is never going to volunteer to do the dishes unless they're 2, in which case sometimes it adds more. Yeah. But a big thing is we often feel that we look around at people and say, because you love me, you should know what I need. And we look at the partner or we look at the children or we go like, so what's wrong with you? You didn't come and help me. You didn't volunteer. You didn't this and then. And especially as women all on this call, we need to open our mouths and verbalize what it is that we need. With our friends, with our partners, with our in-laws, Mandy, your in-laws, with everybody. To be able to say, you know what I really need? And also to appreciate what I really enjoyed was you did X, Y, Z for me. And then we'll see that there will not be World War III, and we'll all manage to live together for another 3 weeks in close proximity. So, checking out from anybody? Any other? Yes, absolutely. Communication's key during this time and makes everything better. And communication doesn't have to be difficult. It's not. It's just about lovingly sharing what it is and not saying, you drive me nuts when you, no, there's no yous. How do you feel? I feel, okay, so when husband plays his music, there are some days that I feel like I could hide a body. Would any of my friends help me hide a body? No, because my friends all love him and love his music. So it's a lot about knowing that he is de-stressing via that music. I do send a message sometimes to say, could you turn it down a bit? Okay. But to shut the door, to shut the 6 doors in the way to make sure that I can't hear it as much. Okay, so checking out, anybody else got anything else to add? Okay, Letitia said that she loves these talks, always more to learn from others. Okay. Nope, nope. All happy? So it's been lovely connecting with you. And obviously we are connecting with everybody else on recording. Thank you, Nolene, for your little clappy hands over there. Isn't technology amazing? And that we just, oh yes, hello.
We have a child in the room.
Hi, everybody.
Hello,
Karen.
Gina's saying hi.
Hi.
Yay, hello. All right, so thanks very much for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your Monday and make those next 3 weeks beneficial for you in whatever way that is. Okay.
Thank you for doing this, Colleen.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Colleen.
Bye.
Bye.